Hey everybody, welcome to Module 3, Dr. Sanderson here. This week we are going to be looking at technology in terms of control and surveillance and monitoring. So how can technology be used to try and persuade people to do certain things, influence people to do certain things, and maybe modify or shape people's behavior, which is a really timely topic, I think, because we're seeing a lot right now going on with surveillance and monitoring. There's been a lot in the news about ISIS and different terrorist groups and their use of social media. So how are they using social media to get people to do certain things, and how is the government using technology to monitor and try and keep tabs on what they're doing? What's interesting about this module, though, is that you're going to also be looking at non-mechanical forms of technology. So things like policies, laws, regulations, how do those influence people's behavior and try and shape and control people's behaviors? And that's actually going to be the focus of the discussion forum. You're going to have to identify a non-mechanical technology and then explain how it is used to shape people's behavior and guide their behavior. So you could look at that. I mean, initially it might seem like there's not a connection there, because how could something non-mechanical influence people? But I mean, think about something like a stop sign. So a stop sign is a non-mechanical technology that's used to try and get people to stop at certain intersections. So I mean, there's a lot of things around us that I think we might take for granted that could be really interesting subjects for your discussion forum. Another thing that comes to mind is social media policies by employers. So employers, most of them now have policies that kind of dictate what kind of content is appropriate for employees to put on social media. Presumably that's done to avoid the company being talked about in a negative light on social media, but definitely a way that they try and control and modify employees' behavior. You might look at even government regulations such as the Patriot Act, which has to do with what kind of monitoring can occur with people's communication devices. So really looking forward to what you come up with there. In addition, you will also create this week a final project milestone for your final project. So what you're going to be doing this week is an outline where you kind of outline what you think you'll cover in the final project. And one thing that I think would be very helpful for you when you do that is to look at the rubric for the final project, because the rubric tells you every single area that you need to address in the final project. And so I think that could really serve as the basis for your outline if you take a look at that. And you can find that in the Module 3 folder under assignment, in the assignment and rubrics folder. One last thing I wanted to mention, I'm going to post some resources into another announcement on this topic, but one thing I think is interesting about technology as control is how we give up control. So several of you have mentioned in previous posts about things like driverless cars, and also pilotless planes is something that's being experimented with right now. And so I think it's interesting to think about how would we give up control if we were to get in a driverless car or get in a pilotless plane. Now, we do that to some degree when we get on, like a train or a trolley that's operated without a human. But I'm not sure. I'd be real interested to see how many people would really be willing to give up the control of the car or a plane. So that's something to think about too with this topic is what kind of control do we give up with technology? So just reminders. Your initial post to the discussion forum will need to be submitted by Thursday at 11:59 Eastern. Your 2 response posts will need to be submitted by Sunday night at 11:59 Eastern. And your final project milestone will need to be submitted by Sunday night at 11:59 Eastern. Definitely let me know if you have any questions, and I'm looking forward to another really great week. Thanks, everybody.